and welcome to Pretty Little Liars fans. Ask the Admin, the Killdren edition. If you are not a member of our group, please visit us online at facebook.com/group/Pretty Little Liars fans ABC family. Okay, and the first question is from Michelle Mincer-Williams. Cammie, do you have a list of events that you feel happened that night? Well, Michelle, absolutely. I think I know what may have happened that night. First of all, I think there was a few events leading up to it. Okay, Charles spent some time in Radley, as Ken had explained to Allison and Jason, and they later had relayed that back to the Liars. I believe that while in Radley, Charles had developed a doll family to replace his actual family. I believe he was a very lonely child. He felt exiled by his family, and he was looking for other people who were also exiled by their families. I believe that he replaced Allison with Bethany, and I believe that he replaced Jessica with Marion and made them his Allie doll and Marion doll, respectively. I believe that possibly Jessica may have gotten a little jealous. Why would she have wanted her son to replace her? I believe that it was a possibility that maybe she was the one who murdered Marion. Bethany may have been the one who was the upset and distressed patient that saw the event occur. And Bethany may have feared for her own life at this point. So she might have planned her escape. And, okay, Labor Day. Labor Day is basically a 3-day holiday weekend for most people. Possibly Radley might have been understaffed during that time, and she might have found that as the perfect opportunity to slip out. And Charles, wanting his fake sister, may have followed her. What happens after that may not necessarily be clear. I'm pretty sure that Charles probably tried to kill Allison thinking that she was Bethany, angered that his fake sister escaped from him. Out of fear, Jessica buries Allison, knowing she was alive, she could hold her problem is. Allison was already hit earlier. What was it, Noel and Jenna that attacked her, I believe? So she's already hit. She gets hit a second time. She's buried underground. She's at the brink of death. And Ms. Grunwald, as we know, is some sort of psychic medium and happened to sense that Allison was in trouble and pulled her out of the dirt. And I also believe this is why Jessica actually had those clothes that were found in Allison's room. I think it was because she knew that Allison was alive the whole time and she was anticipating her little girl coming home. Now, meanwhile, Jenna told Melissa that Allison was dead. She's a blind girl. She didn't see Allison was actually alive and got up and walked away. Melissa hates Allison. So, naturally, she went to go look to see if there was a body there. There's no body. She sees Bethany, thinks that Bethany is Allison, hits her thinking, I gotta cover the tracks for my friend, and I also don't want this girl alive anyway. Bethany dies. Melissa buries her, sees it's not her, and she's in absolute mourning over it, that she murdered the wrong person. Meanwhile, Labor Day, Sarah Harvey, troubled girl, says she has problems with her mother. She runs away. Makes sense. She runs away from home, Labor Day. She can easily find somewhere else to go because it's a 3-day weekend, and she could probably work something out later. Maybe she can become emancipated, start going to school again. But 3-day weekend, she can get away. Nobody's ever going to notice. She leaves. Unfortunately, she has the bad luck of running into Charles DeLaurentis, who decides, hey, my Allie doll is dead, so now I want a new Allie doll. So he takes Sarah. He keeps Sarah in captivity for 2 years, and because of her poor home life and experience, she starts to see some parallels between her and Charles and something that they share. She becomes empathetic towards him, and before long, she starts looking at this guy like he's her real brother. She starts loving him like he's a real brother. Therefore, like family, you will do anything for your family. Therefore, to answer the next questions that are being asked by Madison Craighead, Crystal Lynn, and Rihanna Marie, I honestly believe that Sarah is Redcoat for that reason. She has every motive in the world to want to protect the person who she loves like real family, the only person that she's been able to connect to like real family, and that's Charles. And that's why she's trying to help him out. Another thing that sealed it for me about Sarah possibly being the Redcoats, people had often mentioned, oh, she cut her hair, and the last time we saw Redcoat and Ace sitting next to each other, we didn't see any blonde hair sticking out the bottom of it. We're assuming that Sarah cut her hair, so therefore her hair would not be sticking out of the coat. Okay, well, that didn't seal it for me, but actually what did was when they went to prom, and there were two things. The text that Toby received said to focus on the lion and not the lamb. However, we saw the Instagram that actually had it the other way around. You know, look at the lamb and not the lion. So, I looked at both. And I noticed something very interesting. It appeared that when we saw the lamb, it was mostly outside. When we saw the lion, it was inside carrying beverages. And the lion wasn't really threatening at all. And I was looking around at some of the other characters. I mean, there was a pig, there was an owl, and there was a wolf. Allison received a text that told her not to pay attention to the wolf, but to pay attention to the other Red Hoods, basically. Sarah walked in, and the lamb, we didn't see her anymore. So, where'd the lamb go? I'm thinking that was Sarah. So, if Sarah's not Redcoat, she definitely had a red hood on at one point that night. By the way, I'd like to say one more thing, too. Yes, I do realize that Sarah did not run away on Labor Day. I realized that when I was editing. I was like, whoops, that's not really what I meant. She did run away the next day, but it really is kind of a moot issue anyway because Charles still took her, and she did stay in captivity for 2 years. One more thing. I'm going to be bringing up Varjak in just a minute. I read was somebody else's clue, which actually I thought about it, and it does make a lot of sense too. When I get into the Varjak thing, one of the things that was kind of a tip-off about Redcoats was that Sarah's name is spelled out in Varjak's phone number. All of the letters in her name are included in the numbers in the phone number when you look at the phone number phonetically on a telephone keypad. Next question is Emily LaFramboy and Cody McKinley. What do I feel about Sarah? Just really quickly, I think Sarah's feelings about Emily are genuine. I do think that she really does like her. The problem is she's trying to stay loyal to Charles, so she's has this inner conflict, and that's why she told Emily at prom, basically, whatever happens, please understand that I really do care about you. That's all I have to say about that. I'm going to move on to Reese in just a moment. Okay, Crystal Lynn would like to know if I think that Jason and Allison are related to Reese. And Randy Moore would like to know if Reese is actually Charles, in my opinion. No, I do not believe that Reese is related to, by blood, Jason or Allison, nor do I think that Reese is Charles. What I feel about Reese is that he was handpicked by Charles for a specific reason. He is a dead ringer for Jason. I mean, come on, let's face it. And what else would Charles need in his make-believe family but a brother? So he handpicked Reese because he looks so much like Jason, and same thing happened to Reese. It happened to Sarah. I'm giving Reese a background here. I'm saying that this guy also had a really bad home life, like Sarah, like Bethany, like Marion, had a really bad home life. Maybe he wasn't necessarily institutionalized. Sarah wasn't. So I feel that Charles chose him as a Jason doll, kept him locked away for a period of time, to the point that Reese is now empathetic to Charles's cause, wants to help him out, looks at Charles like he's a brother. And that's basically all I really feel about Jason. That's why Jason. That's why I feel about Reese, because Reese comes across so creepy and so sinister, and something's definitely shady about him. But you all feel the same way about Sarah. Something's definitely shady about her. They try to play this one part and then release something else. So he positioned Reese at the counter of the Karasimi group to be sort of a liaison between Charles and the liars. And at this point, he's also becoming a liaison between Charles and the moms, because now the moms are getting into it. And they're starting to investigate because, frankly, they're sick and tired of their daughters being picked on all the time. And that's why Reese made his presence known then, too. It's more or less, stay out of our business. He was trying to give them a warning. They took it as maybe a possibility of him being Charles. I don't think he's Charles. I really don't. And I'm going to get into who I actually think Charles is and why I feel that way, because quite a few of you have asked me that. Okay, now we're getting down to the one question that everybody wants me to answer. Forgive me if I butcher your names, but Alejandra Oseguera, Renee Olson, Erica Hughes, Essence Lambert, Megan Cover, Tazy Appleton, Brianna Sanchez, Gabriela Pino, Kaya Schumacher, and Maddie, Almodovar. All of you want to know who I actually think A is. And you're all going to go, what? It's Cyrus, guys. I really honestly believe that it's Cyrus Petrillo. Could be Wilden. I mean, he's kind of on there too. I mean, but we don't know whether or not Wilden's dead or not. He looked pretty dead. He was kind of gray last time I saw Wilden. But, we don't know. It could possibly be him. I'm leaning more towards Cyrus for a number of reasons, besides the fact that they've been emphasizing the whole blonde hair, blue-eyed child thing, and Cyrus is one of the few characters that actually still has blonde hair, blue eyes. Yes, I realize, guys, that Ren could dye his hair and put contacts in, but I think they would have told us at some point, too, if that was really the case. And I do realize that people look a little bit different when they age. I also understand, too, that some people are going to say, well, wait a minute, didn't Allison say her and Cyrus had something going on? Allison thought her and Cyrus had something going on. Really, they didn't really do much more than hold hands. That was about it. And if you remember, they were together for a short period of time in that basement while she was in hiding. And then Cyrus actually tried to steal her belongings. She got upset and basically told him to go take a hike. He later came back and tried to assist her in making it look like it was a kidnapping rather than her hiding because of A. Okay, guys, look. We saw that when Allison was going through after she stole Lorenzo's keys and was going through evidence and doing things that she wasn't supposed to be doing and Tanner caught her, she was able to recover her baby spoon. Some people thought that it was a doorknob, but it was to her christening set. Basically, that tells the authorities that Charles was interested in getting something very personal of Allison's. I honestly think that Cyrus was not looking for money. I think he was looking for something like a hairbrush, something close to her that she would use all the time, maybe a tube of lipstick, maybe that's what he was going for. I mean, come on, for somebody who was in hiding and living off the lam for a while, trying to stay off the grid. Allison had really nicely primped hair. Her face was always made up. Obviously, the girl had some stuff with her. At least, you know, I understand the powers of television make you look beautiful all the time, and makeup you can actually sleep in. But I'm sure that she had some toiletry items with her, some things that were very, very personal, and I think that's really what Cyrus was trying to get. I don't think that he was out to get money, and I also believe that that was the reason why he was so willing to help her. Because otherwise, if he were the kind of guy that was really just hanging out with her so he could steal her stuff, what reason would he really have into wanting to assist her in making it look like a kidnapping and take the focus off of A, unless he was actually A? Let's look at a few other things with Cyrus. Okay, now some people think that I'm reading into this a little bit harder than I need to, but there were several clues that lean towards Italian things and Italian objects. First of all, you have Carissimi Group. Carissimi was a composer, an Italian composer. Why did he specifically choose an Italian name for this company? Okay, well, the surname De Laurentiis is Italian. Allison has an Italian email address, very well of her heritage, and she also used an Italian restaurant as the password, which I think is just kind of coincidence. But the translation of her email address is Flying Barrel. Interestingly enough, we did see a barrel in this series, but I think that was just kind of a tip-off to lean us towards, you gotta start focusing on Italian things. So we continue. What else is Italian? Oh wait, Cyrus, what? Petrillo? Yeah, Petrillo. What does Petrillo mean? Peter. As in, what, Peter Hastings? Could it be that Peter is really Charles's father and not Jason's father by blood? Could that be a possibility? If that's the case, wouldn't that give Kenneth an even bigger reason why he'd want to get rid of his son? Not just because he's nuts, not just because he's a bad seed, but also because he's not even really his anyway. Interesting. And if you kind of look at the doll family, you do notice that, the mannequin who is supposed to be the father figure in there, he's kind of tanned to be Kenneth De Laurentiis, isn't he? Just an observation. I mean, I really don't go too far on looks with this show, but that did kind of struck me kind of odd that, well, that mannequin looks a lot like Peter. I wonder why that is. But that was just a few things that I picked up. The other thing that I picked up was Varjak. Do y'all remember Cyrus's relation to Varjak? He emphasized that Varjak was the reason behind his burned face. And we also recall that Black Widow had a burned mask too at one point. So, could it be that because of his Varjak identity, Black Widow punished him? Melissa punished him. Could that be? Well, sure, absolutely. And we can also deduce that possibly the Black Hood that visited him in the hospital when he was in the burn unit could have been Reese. Not certain. Could have been another A-minion, and I have a few ideas of who other A-minions could have been. I believe that certain people were blackmailed on the show. I think that's why certain people were kind of shady. But, could have been Reese that visited him in the hospital. I really couldn't tell you. But anyway, so, say Cyrus is Charles. What other things are pointing at Cyrus that would also could make him Charles besides the Italian clues? Well, for one thing, people keep bringing up the crown clues. Things like, the lion or whatnot. Things that actually have crowns or royalty attached to them, and they're like, oh my gosh, Ren Kingston. Well, guys, Ren isn't the only one that has royalty in his name. Cyrus literally means throne. And also, when you look at the origins of the name Cyrus, you come across Cyrus the Great. When you look across that was one of the first origins of the name Cyrus, with Cyrus the Great, which is one of the reasons why it was called throne. Well, we also see the Charlemagne clue, which means Charles, of course, Charles the Great. Wait, Charles the Great? Okay. Also, in addition to, want to add a little Italian twist to it, also remember too that Pepin of Italy was the son of Cyrus, or not Cyrus the Great, Charles the Great. Which Charles the Great would otherwise have, he was more or less a celebrity of the Middle Ages. He was a big-time ruler in mid-Europe. He was the King of Franks, I believe. But that would be the emphasis that I would be putting there to tie it into the Italian clues. Otherwise, it would simply, Charlemagne would just simply mean Charles. Excuse my cat here. Other reasons. Back to Varjak. The reason why I wanted to put emphasis on Varjak and Varjak's identity was because of where Varjak came from. Remember Ezra happened to have given Allison the nickname Holly Golightly? Well, see, that was a coincidence because back in the day, if we remember, Jessica was calling Charles Freddie when she wanted Jason and Allison to spend time with him. Okay. Freddie. Looking at Allison going by the nickname Holly Golightly that she'd gotten from Ezra. And then we look at Holly Golightly's neighbor in Breakfast at Tiffany's, Paul Varjak. Okay, so what? Paul Varjak's nickname was Fred. So we definitely have a tie there. Varjak and Charles are the same person. So if we can tie Cyrus to Varjak, he has to be Charles. That's just the way I feel about that too. There's just something seriously there. And then the other question came up, well, okay, how is it that they said it's somebody that we'd be able to trace back to season 1? You can trace anybody who may be Charles back to season 1. It doesn't necessarily need to be a character that we've seen from season 1. Charles existed in season 1. If Cyrus was with Allison in season 1, which we didn't see Allison either, but she existed, and she was alive, if Cyrus was with Allison in season 1 in that basement, then that makes Cyrus a character in season 1. Pretty simple. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that we saw, it's somebody that Allison saw. We're also starting to get the idea, based on everybody's reactions too, it seems that whoever it is, Allison's not 100% surprised that it's that person, but she's also seems to have a closer connection to that person than anybody else. Again, Cyrus has no connection to any of the other girls except for Allison. The other girls just thought he was some creepy guy that hung out with her that said that he kidnapped her. That's all they knew. They never spent any time with him. They have no connection to him whatsoever. It's just between Allison and Cyrus. The other thing that I picked up about Cyrus, I don't know, I keep saying the other thing. I gotta change my wording here. Spencer said this person, when she stood next to him, felt like a faint memory. She saw Cyrus on TV. I don't even really think that Spencer met him in person. I think she just kind of saw him on TV. So, a cuddle buddy like, say, Ren or Ian or anybody like that, you know, any of her sisters, paramours that she got her hooks into, they would have not seemed like a faint memory. They would have seemed pretty darn familiar. So thank you, Spencer, for letting me know that it was not somebody that you're super familiar with. And thank you, Allison, for leading me to believe that it is somebody who you are super familiar with. Okay, you guys, I also want to point out some really cool things that I figured out from some of the clues that kind of make me believe that it's either pointed towards Cyrus or somebody with specific intentions. For example, we want to go back to the lion. Can I bring this up too about the lion, how they kept emphasizing on the lion earlier? On the Iranian flag, any Iranian flag, you're going to find a lion. And that used to be the Persian flag, or the Persian area, I should say. So there we go. That also ties into Cyrus the Great. Additionally, the black, red, and white on Charles's mask. Some people were saying this looks like a wren. I'm sorry, I've never actually seen a wren that had black, white, and red on it. Maybe some stripes here, you know, but that's basically it. There was nothing black, white, and red on it. The black, white, and red on the mask are symbolic. They are symbolic in over the course of several different cultures. Black, white, and red mean different thing. This is from anthropology. This is from history. This is from psychology. Black, white, and red are vital colors. There's been a debate over it. They all seem to make a lot of sense. You know, shadow, light, life. Things like that. The way I actually look at it is black could be death, evil, or separation. White. White, notice, is around the mouth area. The mouth area is innocence, too. Speaking of innocence, in the mind, I am separated. I am evil. From my mouth, I am innocent. And the red? Notice the red part's a little bit bigger than the other halves. It's because red is supposed to be something right in between good and evil. That's all the mask was. I didn't see anything further past that. Red is also for men, not for women, but specifically for men. Red is also a symbol for hunting. So that's actually what I got from the mask. You have to assert all of those qualities into one person. Jenna Rose asked me, do I trust Lorenzo? Yeah, you know, at first I thought there was something really odd going on between Lorenzo and Jason. They seem to act really shady around each other, like they both know something that they're not telling and they won't make the exchange between the two of them. But honestly, I just think it's some hostility. Maybe Jason doesn't understand Lorenzo's intentions and vice versa. But it seems that Lorenzo's intentions toward Allison are genuine, and I really like what Spencer said in the last episode that we've seen about how Lorenzo's good for Allison. He's bringing out the good in Allison. He actually trusts her to have changed and become the woman that she is, rather than the 15-year-old girl that we remember that was very stuck on herself and very interested in older men and things like that. It seems that now she's becoming this empathetic, caring person. And Lorenzo's helping bring that out of her. So I actually do appreciate Lorenzo, and I kind of like having him around. Maddie Cryer would like to know, what is my favorite episode of Pretty Little Liars? I would say probably when Welcome to the Dollhouse, when they're actually in captivity and Charles is more or less acting out his fantasy of having his sister and some of his make-believe family there, and bringing in the friends and trying to create this life for himself in this fantasy world that he had created, which is more or less why I created the music video at the beginning of this video. The idea that he was using them as his playthings or his pets actually kind of came to mind. The guy's really messed up. I believe one of you asked me it was Maddie, actually. Maddie Almodovar actually asked me, why do I think A tortures the girls? He is trying to break them, get them into submissiveness. Charles is trying to break them and get them into submissiveness so that they are more willing to follow his fantasy. However, we have to remember that Charles isn't the only player here. We also have Black Widow. Truthfully, Black Widow has a bone to pick. She is angered at Allison. She has anger against her friends. And she's torturing them because it's fun. That's pretty much what it amounts to. She wants to break them. She has this inner torture within herself, and basically the way she deals with misery, her own misery, is spread it around. There are psychiatric reasons why people do this. It's not the first time I've actually heard the phrase, the best way to deal with misery is spread it. That's essentially what she's doing. It's nothing other than selfishness. It's nothing than revenge. In her mind, the way she flips it around to make it revenge. Any of the malicious things that happen, I guarantee, are coming from Black Widow. Any of those malicious messages are coming from her. Okay? And Charles, on the other hand, he's just looking to fulfill this twisted psycho fantasy he has going on. That's more how I feel about him. Okay, Maddie Cryer also asks me, what do I think of Clark? What do I think his intentions are? We did learn that Clark is supposed to be working undercover. That's why he appeared to be so shady. He does have some questions to answer as to why was he meeting Reese at the doll factory. Was he just following him, or what was he doing? I tend to believe that Clark is telling the truth, that he is an undercover agent. I will admit, for the longest time, I thought he was shady. I thought that it was really odd that he was asking the questions of Arya that he was asking. I thought it was odd that he forever was taking random pictures. But, if he's working undercover, that kind of does make sense to me. So, yeah, sure, I can believe he's telling the truth. Okay, Maddie Cryer also asks me, what do I think of Clark? What do I think his intentions are? We did learn that Clark is supposed to be working undercover. That's why he appeared to be so shady. He does have some questions to answer as to why was he meeting Reese at the doll factory. Was he just following him, or what was he doing? I tend to believe that Clark is telling the truth, that he is an undercover agent. I will admit, for the longest time, I thought he was shady. I thought that it was really odd that he was asking the questions of Arya that he was asking. I thought it was odd that he forever was taking random pictures. But, if he's working undercover, that kind of does make sense to me. So, yeah, sure, I can believe he's telling the truth. Okay, Katie Porter Waldrip asks, what is my favorite thing about Pretty Little Liars? Figuring it out, trying to pick up clues, trying to carefully pay attention to what's going on, nitpicking at little details here and there, which is something that I've always been pretty famous with. When I'm watching television, I drive everybody insane about some of the things that I'm able to notice immediately. I take little notations as I go in these types of mystery type shows where you actually have to solve a puzzle, and I really enjoy puzzles. I enjoy problem solving. It's one of my favorite things. I like to critically think. I like to pull things apart and put them back together, and Pretty Little Liars has all of that. So I do appreciate being able to do that. And I also enjoy the camaraderie of our group. I enjoy having these discussions with you guys. I enjoy connecting with all of you, and it's really been great so far, so let's keep it up. Okay, Katie also is asking me, do I have any other TV shows that I love? Well, I do admin 6 groups. So yes, I have lots of television shows that I love. Katie and I both administrate American Horror Story, co-administrate with that. I enjoy that show very much. It kind of creeps me out a little bit at night sometimes. I'm watching it very late at night, and sometimes it's when the house is really, really quiet. I don't like to think a little too much when I'm watching that. Katie and I also both co-lead admin the Revenge group. We also have Georgia in there as well. I'm in there all the time. I read the FAQs and commentary for that group as well. Love Revenge, love everything about it. As a matter of fact, I am writing season 5 because I believe it could have gone a lot further than it did, and I'm very upset that it was canceled. Wayward Pines, I administrate that group, as well as the Whispers. Again, thinking things that I can sit down and discuss, things I can pull apart and put back together and dissect and go through all the layers. Another program that I love about that is it's Orphan Black. If you're not familiar with Orphan Black, it's a BBC show. It only has 10 episodes in the spring, and we just finished up our 3rd season in June. With that show, again, you have strong female leads that are trying to find out what's happening to them, where they came from. You have one actress playing 6 parts. It's just insane, and you can distinctly pick apart who each individual character is, but it's the same actress playing all of them. I think that is so amazing. So I'm going to show you a quick little clip here, actually.
Pretty thick, so you really got to put your back into it.
Sister Allison has good taste.
Yeah, well, she's very crafty.
In men.
What?
You have meat on your bones. You're strong like baby ox. This I like.
Kayla Dixon would like to know what is my favorite Haleb, Spoby, Ezria, or Emily moment. I like how she has Emily all by herself. Honestly, I really couldn't tell you. I guess Haleb, I would say probably towards the beginning when they first started getting together, they were freaking adorable. He is so good to her. I really think that's a very nice couple. Spoby, I really respected Toby when he came out of the shower and Spencer was making advances at him, and he says, "Wait until I get some clothes on and then see how you feel." I really respected him for that. Ezria, hold on, my cat's caught here. Jeez, Shelby. I thought it was really cute when they tried to recreate the first time that they met. Y'all right there? The first time that they met, I thought that was really cute. I thought that was really sweet when they were having that moment in his apartment. I knew when they were coming out to her parents that it was not going to go well, so I was kind of like this the whole time. Oh boy. Emily had so many sweet moments with a lot of different girls, so it's really hard to say, and that sounds so bad, but it's the truth. She did have a lot of sweet moments with a lot of different girls. I thought probably the one thing that really sticks out in my head is when Paige finally broke down and told her real feelings towards her. I thought that was really cool. Let's see, moving on here. Which character do I relate to the most? As Amanda Clark. Great name, by the way. It's from Revenge. Which character do I relate to the most? Probably. Now, I'm not a liar, and that's the one thing that stuck out when I initially started watching the show was, wow, they weren't kidding. This girl, honestly, I wasn't sure whether or not I was even going to like any of them, because I thought they were, at first, I really seriously, don't hate me, but I thought they were all dumb when I first started watching the show. But then after a while, I started to love them just as much as everyone else. I would probably say Spencer, because she got a smart mouth, and she's constantly putting too much detail into everything that she thinks about, which is so much like me. So I guess I would probably relate to her. And you know what? I'm a little bit of a geek too. I've always been. So I kind of probably relate a little bit better to her. Tiana Williams asks, what is my favorite PLL party? I liked the last Halloween, the Halloween that they had on the train. I thought was really cool. I loved the costumes, and I loved the costuming in the prom scene. Actually, I even liked Charles's prom. That was kind of cool too, even though that wasn't a real party. I like, if I have to sit through a special episode of something, I got to see a lot of imagery and things like that, or I get annoyed and lost. I can tell you my least favorite episode was when they were all at Jessica's house and they were helping her host that bridal expo, and they all had to wear wedding dresses. Nobody asks me what my least favorite episode was. It was that one. Honestly, I could do without seeing that one again. I did watch it a couple more times, unfortunately, because I was trying to pick some clues out of that one. But that one was probably my least favorite. Zabida Khan asks, how do I watch Pretty Little Liars? Setting, snack, everything. Well, I eat dinner very late. My husband likes to take an afternoon nap and asks me to wake him up in the early evening. So I wake him up just before I make supper. And then we eat relatively late. Sometimes he doesn't want to get up in time. So sometimes I actually have to take my dinner plate downstairs here and eat down here. So I can watch the program, because this is where our television is. We share a house. This is where our family room is. So I come down and watch TV down here. So you're actually looking at the setting. If I ate on time, I should say, if I ate supper on time, I might have dessert down here. If it would be one of the shows that I have later in the evening, I would say I probably maybe would make a bowl of popcorn or something. But if I wasn't planning on eating, I'm at the age now where weight's an issue, so I have to be careful about some of the things that I put in my mouth. Beverages could be anything from a glass of water, a soda, all the way to maybe a beer or something. Kristen Haggerty, what is the most bizarre theory I've ever heard? Bizarre theory. I think that there are some clues, and I'm guilty of this too. You guys heard the Charles mask. It does not look like a wren to me. It might look like a wren to somebody else. It doesn't look like a wren to me. I've seen wrens up close and personal, and it doesn't look like a wren to me. I can't see how Arya can be A. I can't. Toby can be A. There are just certain people that I try to fit into the scenarios, and I try to work them into the time frame, and I seriously, I take your word for it, and I work them through the clues, and I get to the end, and I go, wait, that doesn't work. That just doesn't work. So I move on. It's not really so much that your theories are bizarre. I don't want to call anybody's theory bizarre or off the wall, because mine is. So I don't really have a clear answer to that, just because I respect all of your theories, and I don't think any of them are too weird and be impossible. My favorite theory, Chelsea Heaven Nicole Kantz. I think I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I don't. What is my favorite theory? Mine. Mine. The other theory, I've mentioned this before, the other theory that I'm highly interested in is the Weldon theory. And yeah, I understand that he's dead, but nobody ever stays dead on Pretty Little Liars. Even if you see a body, nobody actually is dead on this show. So I kind of gave up on the idea that, he might be totally dead. Somebody could be covering for him. That could have, the way Rosewood Police is too. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to tell you there, but thus far, I enjoy hearing that one. I also enjoy listening to those who are interested in Andrew or interested in Dean. Basically, anybody that we haven't really thought about. If I work them through the clues and I see that there might be something there that's tangible. If it's no longer tangible, I don't want to hear about it. But I will respect you and I will listen to it, and I'll keep an open mind because I'm probably wrong anyway. Erica Hughes, my question is, what do you think? Who do you think A is? Okay, what do you think about? What do I think about Ezra, Cece, and No Khan being A? Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Ezra. I'm actually really glad that she asked this. Ezra, I don't think is A. I think he is an A minion. I don't think he's involved in that way. However, he could be an A minion, but not by choice. I think Ezra may be blackmailed. Did you notice that anytime something happens to Arya, it's like not really so much hurting her as it's a message to someone else? And all those things that Ezra had that belonged to A, and you can, I guess one of the other admins picked it out in pictures, lining it up that Ezra could actually have some of A's belongings, that we just see them scattered here and there in his apartment. Maybe he's being blackmailed. Maybe he actually had to do some of the things so that Arya would be safe. I don't believe that he knows who Charles is, though. I think that there was a liaison between them. Maybe Reese. Who knows? And I don't think that he trusts anybody for that reason. I don't think he trusts Clark. And Cece. Don't think Cece's A. I don't see any reason why Cece would want to attack any of those girls, really. Why? Because they're Allison's friends? Could she be pretending to be Allison's friend? No. I think that she sees some babyish qualities in Allison. I think she sees some unsavory, unseeming, things about her. Unseemly, that's the word I was looking for, things about her, but I don't think she hates her. Noel. Noel reminds me of a loud frat boy. even as a supposed high school boy, he reminds me of a loud frat boy. I just can't see him getting it together to be sneaky enough to be... I mean, he's mean enough, and he's vindictive enough. He might be smart enough, but he just doesn't have that twisted psychopath A attitude that I'm looking for. Let's see here. Brianna Renee Winlock wants to know what's my favorite season. Probably season 3. Season 3. Basically, I liked the entire show. I liked the fact that when I'm finished with one episode, it's like, okay, now I have to see another one. I really flew through season 3. I have to say that at that point, I couldn't put it down, so that's probably where I'm at as far as favorite season. Carissa De Laurentiis. Do I ship Emerson or do I ship Allison and Lorenzo? I really like, don't hate me, but I really do like Allison and Lorenzo together. I think they're really cute. It's not like I have any kind of, I sincerely have no problems with Allison and Emily getting together just because Emily loves her that much. But I'm not so sure that Allison really reciprocates the feelings, and her and Lorenzo, it's almost like they have sort of this grown-up relationship going on. Personally, though, I do have to say this. I would never actually take somebody, put them in a box, and mail them anywhere. Yeah, I know. That's old people humor. But yeah, I would never actually ship anyone anywhere. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that's been illegal for like maybe like the past 100 years since they outlawed shipping children through the mail and as a form of travel. Just a little side note there. Cindy Bethel asked, did Ian die because of the fall in the church, or did somebody kill him in the barn? I could have sworn Allie said she left him alive, so who killed him? Was it Charles? No, I don't think Charles killed him. I think possibly Black Widow killed him, and I think he actually did die in the barn. I think that he may have been unconscious and was cut down loose in the church. And I believe that I think Mona was telling the truth. I don't think it had anything to do with her. I don't think it had anything to do with Allison either. I think that was another one of those instances where Black Widow, Uber A, whatever you want to call her, that she stepped in and took care of that. To run out of time here, because I'm nearing up on an hour with my video, so I want to look at one more question here that actually takes a little bit extra effort to answer. Jennifer Board Wright asks, what different references to literature have I noticed in the show? I noticed a couple references to literature, and there were some like ones that you all caught up on right away. There's a few that I want to emphasize that I've honestly been thinking about. I've been thinking about these are ones that are sticking in my mind that are very, very pertinent to me. The first one I brought up recently was about the bad seed. A lot of people think of that as a movie, but it was actually literature first. The thing that sticks out of my mind with the bad seed was basically I considered that a foreshadowing moment when they had that in season 1. They were trying to tell you that there is a bad seed in the show. Somebody who was born bad with no way of having any type of conscious or remorse for anyone or care about anything but themselves. And as selfish, as this most selfish person on this show apparently is Charles, and I think that he may be a bad seed. Quite possibly it might be a reference to Black Widow also, who could possibly be a bad seed also. Could also be selfish, without remorse, without conscience. Because why would you do things to somebody if you care about something other than you? The other thing is one of the motivations behind Rhoda Penmark was that she wanted to be perfection, and if anyone got in the way of her perfection, everything down from her perfect hangman's braids, her perfect dress, no wants or needs for blue jeans, down to having perfect handwriting. Anyone who got in her way of being the best at everything, she took them out. Well, I also think of, like I mentioned before, I think that Melissa might be Black Widow, and that's things that could be one of her motivations, is she has to be the very best at everything. And honestly, she is starting to see some spotlight on her little sister, and she doesn't want to see that happen. She doesn't like that men are gravitating to those girls faster than they're wanting to stay with her. Ian and Ren and pretty much anybody that Melissa tries to get involved with doesn't want to stay with her. So she's starting to, instead of damaging her ego in a normal way that it would for a normal woman, instead she's seeing these challenges as being something that she has to eliminate. So that's another thing that I think is an emphasis on the bad seed. And also, Rhoda and Charles, their fathers both have the same first name. I just thought that was kind of an interesting coincidence. Charles De Laurentiis and Rhoda Penmark both have Kenneth as a father. Kenneth Penmark, Kenneth De Laurentiis. I thought that was really an interesting correlation there. The other thing that I noticed about important pieces of literature was Lolita. And Lolita, you have a man who has a problem with being attracted to young girls, and he falls in love with Lolita and goes as far as moving into her house so that he can be close to her. Goes as far as trying to marry her mother, to try to get close to her, and at one point they run away together. Allison was obsessed with that book, and I've noticed her attitude was very, very similar in that she was a very persuasive girl when it came to men that were a little bit older than her. That she wanted to have inappropriate relationships with. That was one thing that stuck out in my mind. And also, it may be in reference to Wren moving in to be with Melissa when he really liked Spencer. That would be another emphasis there. I truly think that Wren is some kind of a minion. He knows far too much to be a simple player. I don't think he is but I can definitely go with him being a minion, and that would be his motivation, would be wanting to dismantle the relationship between the girls so he can get closer to Spencer. And thus far, all of the masked players have succeeded in trying to dismantle Toby and Spencer's relationship. They've managed to bounce back from some things, but there are some things that are so much that I don't think Toby's going to be able to handle the relationship much longer, because it's always being destructive and disrupted all the time. So that may be part of it there. Those were two of the major literary things that stuck out in my head. Of course, then there was To Kill a Mockingbird. When they were studying To Kill a Mockingbird, I mean, come on. The Charles in To Kill a Mockingbird has a very similar nickname at all. It sounds a lot like Charles De Laurentiis. I think that was just a kind of a clue towards his name. Let's see, Spencer comparing Ezra to Lord Voldemort. I thought that was significant. And of course, the Stranger's book too, that they actually found in this latest episode actually kind of sticks out as well. So those are some of the significant literary elements that I've been able to pick up on. Okay, guys, really quickly, I just want to do this because I can. I want to show you guys exactly how to get to the events. We have to answer this every single day. How to get to the events, how to get to the streaming videos. I want to just show you really quickly. This is from your laptop or desktop. You can do the same thing on your phone, but it's just slightly different. On your phone, you're going to be clicking the banner at the top of the screen, or the cover photo. But in a computer, you're just going to click right on events, or at the top here. Okay, and you can see there's some events in here. Game Over Charles is the next one that we're going to be watching tomorrow. But I want to go to Settings, and then I'm going to click on Past Events. And on a phone, you're just going to tap right on Past Events in the same screen. Well, actually, Events first, then Past Events. And then you can see all of them. And just hit Show More at the bottom here, and you can get the episodes. Now, the ones that have streaming video, you can just check and see if they have it. You just want to look in the pinned post of each of these. So let's go to last week here. We'll go, actually, this is 2 weeks ago. This is 2 weeks ago, actually. This is framed. So I'm scrolling down, and in the pinned post right here, you can see that there is a episode right here. You can see that there's an episode right here. I really got to silence my chat. You guys don't need to see that. But there you go. That's how you actually get to it. So just to let you know, and you can back up and you can go back to the event screen, and you can get these ones, and they're always going to be in the pin post. I just wanted to show you guys that. Okay? So, game events. Alright. And I'm just going to wrap this up now. Thank you for being able to make it all the way to the end of my Ask the Admin video. Again, if you're not a member of our group and just happen to stumble upon our channel, please visit us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/PrettyLittleLiarFans, ABC Family. And if you are interested in purchasing a Pretty Little Liars, a hooded t-shirt or a future Mrs Fitz tank top, I'm going to ask if we can put some links at the bottom here for you for eBay and Etsy. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I hope everybody had a great weekend, and hope to see you all Tuesday for the event. Have a great